Hello everyone, today I want to compare the patch 3.1 limited banner characters Cyno, Venti, Nilou and Albedo in terms of anything combat related. While listening you will also get a quick impression of their gameplay to see if they fit your preference. To start us off there will be a short rundown of each character individually, and at the end I give you my opinion on which ones to prioritize. First, the new character Cyno. This one's a classic main DPS or carry, meaning he will deal most of his damage while on field. To do so, he is reliant on his elemental burst skill, which grants him a new set of electro-infused normal attacks, and there will be a mechanic to use some well-timed elemental skills in between. Kind of similar in feel to how Ito weaves between using normal attacks and charged attacks. It's fast and engaging gameplay. In terms of teams, Cyno seems to be pretty versatile. Essentially, he will occupy a similar role as main DPS Raiden. After hearing that, the first thing that you will think of is probably the national team. But the new quick and aggravate teams seem really nice as well. He has elemental mastery scaling, so triggering elemental reactions will benefit him a lot. And after Sumeru's release, mono electro teams seem kind of outdated anyway, so I wouldn't recommend going for that. As for the build, in terms of weapons, you will get a free 4-star polearm for him next patch, which will just be a big stat stick with attack percentage and elemental mastery, so you don't have to worry about that. The artifact set might be the 4-piece Thundering Fury set for the extra elemental reaction damage and the cooldown reduction on the elemental skill, which enables you to spam it quite literally. Next we have Venti, a regular sub DPS, meaning this character can deal most of his damage while he is off field, though he also provides a good amount of utility with the Verdescent set and the ability to suck in enemies with his elemental burst skill. He's like the king of fighting hordes of small monsters. Having him will make regular daily chores or roaming around the world way more comfortable, but he will also be great in abyss stages with such a monster lineup. In terms of teams, Venti can definitely fill the role of the Verdescent set Anemo support to shred elemental resistances, but I think he is actually one of the few characters who don't really care too much about internal synergy in your team composition. The decision to slot him in is very much dependent on the things you're fighting. Like I said, if you're facing hordes of small monsters, he will always be great, completely independent of your team. You will always want to use him there. As for the build, the weapon is very easy. He just deals a lot of damage with his skills, so the stringless bow is by far the best option. The artifact set depends on your team. I already mentioned it a few times. If you want to get value from the 4-piece Verdescent set, it's a very easy best choice. In other teams like Ningguang or Zhao for example, you would just use some pure DPS build on Venti like 4-piece Emblem or 2-piece Noblesse to increase his burst damage. Next we have Nilou. She's very unique. I feel like she might get the record for the longest skill descriptions. In terms of gameplay, she can be super versatile because her elemental skill allows her to choose between the option to do on-field damage or off-field damage, which means she can fill the role of a main DPS or sub DPS according to your needs. Her passive skill is also a little experimental. I believe it's the first time we have a character who changes the effects of elemental reactions. In terms of teams, she will be very restrictive, because a set passive skill only activates if you run both Dendro and Hydro characters exclusively in your teams, and the goal is to trigger a bunch of modified Bloom reactions as your only possible game plan. This seems to be the one way to play her. It's very niche, but in theory you can also use her in other teams, though at that point you only have a character without passive skills, which doesn't really make her very appealing for that. As for the build, she is surprisingly easygoing here. If you still have the event weapon Festering Desire, consider yourself lucky, but you can even get away with a 3-star weapon like Harbinger of Dawn. The artifact set can be anything from 4-piece Millilith to Deepwood Memory for more utility, or a double 2-piece set with just some extra stats like Heart of Depth, Millilith, Emblem, Wondrous Troop, whatever stats benefit her damage. She will be able to deal a lot of damage with normal attacks, but they are considered elemental skill damage, so I assume 4-piece Gladiator or Heart of Depth won't work for Nilou. Last we have Albedo, another regular sub DPS, meaning this character wants to deal damage while he is off field, and he also has a little bit of utility in his skill kit, which is a 125 elemental mastery buff to your team. I'm not gonna lie, he is incredibly boring, since you only press his elemental skill once in a while, and that's pretty much all the gameplay you can expect from him. He's a Geo character, so in terms of elemental reactions, you won't get any interesting interactions. In terms of teams, he is great in some Geo-Resonance teams with Zhongli, which usually resulted in Zhao or Hu Tao teams. After Sumeru's release, this combo got an indirect buff though, through Zhongli shredding Dendro resistance and Albedo's Elemental Mastery buff benefiting Electro characters. So you can also run him in different quicken teams with pretty much any combination of Dendro and Electro main and sub DPS. Tenari, Collet, Raiden, Cyno, Fisher, to just name some examples. And last but not least, there's also the triple defense scaling team with Ito, Goro, and Albedo. As for the build, it's pretty similar to Nilou, kind of. If you have the event weapon Cinnabar Spindle, it's great. Otherwise, again, the Harbinger of Dawn 3-star weapon is more than a worthy replacement. The artifact set will be Husk of Opulent Dreams, which admittedly will be a little painful if you have to run that domain just for Albedo alone. Alright, that covers all the characters, and if you want my recommendation, Venti seems like an easy winner this patch. So there was a time where Abyss 12 pretty much felt like a boss rush mode, and Venti is really underwhelming against a single target. That is a little different lately, so I think Venti is all across a great character, and there are even interactions between him and Dendro characters, since you can infuse his burst skill with, for example, Electro to trigger Aggravate. Next we have Nilou. She's really interesting and unique and obviously new, which definitely helps here because, like I said, in terms of team compositions and elemental reactions, it's very one-dimensional. Chances might be really high that you get really bored really fast of only playing Bloom teams. That being said, I do believe this team has the potential to be really strong. Next we have Albedo. Yes, I called him boring, but I think he's the best option to activate Geo-Resonance alongside Zhongli, who got a lot of extra value of the release of Dendro characters. So in a way, Albedo got dragged along with him. Albedo's personal damage is great and the Elemental Mastery buff works well for quicken teams, so he's definitely good, but I'd love to see Geo-Elemental reactions being reworked to make him a little more fun and interactive. Last we have Cyno. Unlike the last character, I believe this one might be a lot of fun to play. Like I said earlier, playing him might feel very similar to playing Arataki Ito. A big fear I always have with characters who are reliant on their elemental burst skills for damage is their energy generation being bad, which pretty much ruins them. The biggest thing though is I would be unbelievably surprised if Cyno doesn't get massively outclassed by Raiden in pretty much any team composition. There you have it. I think Venti is a safe pull. Anything else depends on your preference and playstyle, specifically referring to Nilou and other characters on your account. I assume Albedo without having Zhongli feels a lot less appealing. For Cyno, if you're a super meta-driven gamer, I would wait a little. There might be a really good chance that he's just a skip. They seem to rerun all the Archons right now, so I guess it will be Nahida in patch 3.2 and you can get Raiden in 3.3, who will likely just put that dog on a leash. If you care about fun gameplay though, Cyno probably will be the perfect character for you. Alright, we made it to the end. I hope this helped you decide on which banner to wish. Let me know in the comments. Anyway, stay tuned for more videos. Until then, have fun and bye bye.